By making the most of your maternity cover, you can save a lot of money. And today, that is what I'm going to talk about. What you need to know about the maternity health insurance, what it covers, what it doesn't. Plus, as a bonus, I will tell you how I managed to claim pretty much all of my maternity expenses and get an almost free delivery. Health insurance is complex and I'm not here to sell you any policy, nor am I getting into the nitty-gritties of insurance, but instead, I'll tell you the most important aspects of maternity coverage. See, there are 2 or 3 ways to get to maternity coverage. You can either buy a regular health insurance policy and maternity is covered in the base plan in some policies, but in most cases, you will have to buy the maternity coverage as an add-on for a little extra price. But with these regular health policies, there's a catch, and that is the waiting period. See, these will have a waiting period anywhere between 2 to 4 years or even longer. So that means that even if you buy a policy today, you won't be eligible till this waiting period is over. But if you want a shorter waiting period, then you need to buy a maternity specific health insurance. Now, this is the second option for you to get the maternity coverage and usually has a waiting period of only 1 year or maybe less. Also, this is far more comprehensive and a little bit expensive too, but it covers things like prenatal care or medical checkups, the screening tests, plus any congenital defects or any other complications during the delivery. Now, this is something which a regular plan will not cover. Now, the third option is for those of you who are employed, which is the corporate health insurance. Now, this typically does not have a waiting period, but the company may have some internal policies. But relying entirely on only corporate health insurance is a little bit risky in my view. So, I also have my own policy other than the corporate plan. Now, irrespective of how you get your maternity coverage, there's always the problem of a sublimit. See, now this is a real bummer. So even if you have a health insurance coverage which has a good sum insured like 5 lakhs or 10 lakh rupees, the pregnancy expenses will be capped at 50 or 75,000 only, whereas the cost of delivery could be as high as 1.5 to 2 lakhs in many cases. See, what you can do in such cases is file multiple claims for the same bill. I will talk about that in a bit, but first, let's look at what all things are generally covered in a maternity coverage. Typically, maternity health insurance will cover pre- and post-hospitalization expenses, meaning the cost of the delivery procedure, your doctor's fees, your any other doctor consultations, and even the medications in some cases. So the mother's expenses and the big hospitalization costs are all covered. But the OPD expenses or the diagnostic tests, your vitamins, all of these during the 9 months, they are all excluded. Now, another thing to check for is the coverage for the newborn baby. See, newborn are covered in some plans from the day 1, but that coverage could be limited. So, you really need to check the fine print to see if you're covered for things like the neonatal ICU or any birth defects or the vaccinations. See, my own policy, for example, did not cover any newborn care. So, you must inquire about the coverage of the complicated deliveries or any premature deliveries, any of those. See, best to have is multiple health insurances. Like if you and your spouse are both employed, then you have 2 insurance covers anyway. But if not, then I strongly suggest to have 2 or more health insurance policies. Now, instead of having one large policy, it's better to have 2 smaller policies or buy a rider or an add-on in your family health policy plus buy a separate maternity insurance. With multiple insurance covers, you can claim a much higher amount, and that's how I managed to claim almost all of my delivery expenses. So let's see how I did that. See, in most maternity coverages, benefits are capped only at a small amount like a 50,000 or thereabouts, maybe say a little higher, 75,000 if it's a cesarean section. And obviously, expenses are upwards of 1 lakh rupees in Mumbai at a decent hospital. So in that case, you can actually claim the same hospital bill on more than one insurance policy. Now say your total bill is 1 lakh rupees and you have two policies, one with your employer and one on your own, each with a maternity expense cap of 50,000 rupees. So what do? Step 1. You can then start with your employer policy first and claim 50,000 rupees. Then step 2. You have to get a claims settlement summary from that insurer. That is what is important. And after you've done this, then step 3. Get attested photocopies of all the bills that you have submitted from the first insurance company. Now what is all this? Basically, you are informing the second insurance company that you have received a certain amount from the first company and are now claiming the remaining amount from them. Then you have step 4. See, you must get these copies attested by the hospital as well. And that is it. You can split one large bill and claim that from two companies. A quick word of the wise here though. See, you must ask the hospital for separate bills for the baby's expenses and the mother's expenses. Now this is very crucial because you can claim all baby's expenses from your general health insurance sum, which is over and above the maternity cap. Isn't that neat? Again, let's take an example. Now in case your maternity bill comes to 1 lakh rupees, out of which 70,000 is your bill and the baby's bill is 30,000. So what do? Is this. Add your child's name in your employer's insurance immediately after the baby's birth and claim your baby's bill under your general insurance cover. Now another quick tip here. If you're going for a planned C-section, I highly recommend informing the insurance company and obtaining a pre-authorization of expenses. See, it's not required for natural delivery, but I am told that it is mandatory in case of a planned C-section. So with all these things combined, I managed to claim pretty much all of my hospitalization expenses from my own and my husband's employer health insurance. So mine was actually a free delivery. That's it for now. So let's quickly look at some of the important points again. First, plan ahead and buy an insurance well in advance as you won't get any benefits until the waiting period is over. Second, if you're planning a baby, don't forget to do a thorough review of your health insurance. Become aware of the most important terms and conditions like the coverage, additional benefits, waiting periods, the sublimits, standard exclusions, all of that. And don't forget to add your child's name in your insurance immediately after the child's birth. And lastly, make sure you get your bill and your baby's bill separate from the hospital. Alright, do invest in a good health insurance plan to meet all your maternity expenses. I hope you found this video very helpful. Thank you so much for your time. Until next time, Namaste.